Hi, good morning, and welcome back to Garden Goddess Tarot. Today is the second installment of Garden Arcana, the little series I'm doing with Candy from Candy Soul and Soil. Love her. And we are going out venturing into the garden, bringing tarot with us, and finding tarot in real life. So the first week we did the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, and the Empress. Fool kind of follows us around every week actually, so we'll be revisiting him again today. But then we're jumping into the Emperor, the Hierophant, and the Lovers. So very excited to find those energies in the garden around. If you want to play along, you're more than welcome to. You can share your garden, and really I might throw on like a little bonus hashtag here too. It's just going to be tarot in real life too, so you're not just limited if you don't have a garden. Find tarot anywhere. I would love to see people taking adventure tarot and inviting it in as a part of their life, and to just like go and find tarot everywhere, because it really it is. So if you haven't already, make sure you check out Candy's channel, Candy Soul and Soil. Her video, her first one, is excellent. I love her garden. I could spend every moment of a day just in there, like creeping through the undergrowth looking for all the things, and I love her associations, and the decks she picks are really great. So this week I think I have more decks than I did last time, but I guess that just means I'm getting excited about it. So we're gonna grab our cards, we're gonna go out into the garden, and I'm really excited to show you guys how much it's changed since last week. I think you'll be surprised to see how much it is literally like morphed in front of your eyes in a matter of days. This time of year is just wild. So anywho, without any further ado, let's get cracking. So as our Fool continues on his journey, after having met the Magician, the High Priestess, and the Empress, he comes up against the Father, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Teacher, and the Lovers, the aspects of self, Gemini, Aries, and Taurus, respectively. Within the garden, these energies are everywhere, putting laws in place, governing, teaching, and co-creating together, making it so the garden is what it is. Oh, by the way, these are my board tulips. It frosted last night, 18th of May. Can you believe it? We had a frost. Welcome to Canada, by the way. So the only casualty so far, I think, is my tulips. They're not dead, they're just rather flopped over. They'll perk up later in the sun, most likely. And there might be some soft hosta leaves too. I'll have to double check that, but for the most part, everybody survived. But the garden is alive, it is growing, it is full of zeal and zest and pizzazz and gumption and just the will to grow and live and be in the world unapologetically, and I'm so excited! Even my rhubarb is trying to flower. Look at that. I will likely yank that off immediately, because we want these big strappy delicious leaves. Or stalks, technically. So first off, we find the Fool again. Here it is in a new garden. This wasn't here last week. I've been busy. These are new areas I've been working on. Just expanding slowly. Exploring new territory, you know how it is. Very Fool. We also get into the Hierophant in here. Something about the way that the light comes through those like very dewy panes on the coal frames just very much looks like a cathedral. And all of the plants are huddled together inside this little domain of the Hierophant. And the Lovers, a romantic table for two amongst the foliage. Perfection. This is also the Fool. This is a rowan tree. And in the Tree Spirit Tarot, the card for the rowan tree is the Fool, which is the Wanderer. And let me read you a little bit from the book on this one. It's really beautiful. Rowan encourages us to listen to the call in our heart, even if it involves making a difficult decision. This could mean leaving and starting over by remembering that endings create new beginnings. Rowan trees were planted in front of walkways to mark the place where one enters and leaves at the same time, and this reminds us that as one door closes, another immediately opens. Rowans were also sacred to the Druids, who saw them specifically as portals of, like, between death and rebirth, which again, the Fool is very much that kind of portal that opens everywhere. This magnificent tree is an oak tree. Oak trees can live to be about 1,000 years old, which is pretty amazing, and they're the root of a pretty epic story from ancient Greek mythology involving Zeus and Dione. They're related to them specifically, and in Epirus, Greece, about 2000 BC, the trees themselves were seen as wise oracles that offered wisdom when the sound of wind rustled through their leaves. These oak trees of Dodona were specifically associated with Zeus and Dione. Their names translating in Sanskrit to Devi Mata, Divine Mother, and Deus Pater, Divine Father, and that's where we get the word Devas, or Shining Ones. The Shining Ones, again broadened to mean later what we associate with the word deity, and specifically the Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter, or our 7 main planets in astrology. So the oak tree is the root of it all. Order, structure, something to jump off of, somewhere to start. A beautiful system to base our learning around. The Emperor. Moving swiftly along, as the Fool tends to do, past the Emperor we come upon the Hierophant. And in the tree deck, the Hierophant is the cedar, a symbol of faith. And this hedge through the orchard here at the edge of the field is an ancient cedar hedge that's just kind of always been here as a boundary, as a place of reflection and learning. We're going to stare at a pear tree for a second while I tell you a bit about the cedar tree, but it supports our spiritual quest by reconnecting us with our earthly roots. As we seek answers that seem to be beyond our reach, we are reminded that we are the ones who is reaching. And of course, I didn't even plan this, but I've got 2 cedar trees planted right next to my front door, a reflection of the pillars shown in the RWS and the Thoth card here. And you hold the seed. How beautiful! We're going to spend a great deal of time right now talking about apples. I hope that's okay. This right here is a crabapple tree, specifically a spring snow crabapple. And it is blooming, and it is the most beautiful thing right now. And smells, oh my gosh, apple blossoms, if you've never smelt them, I don't know how to describe it, but it is the sweetest, gentlest, most delicately divine scent you'll ever really experience, especially when you're enveloped in it. It's so beautiful. Just yesterday, I made a flower essence of this tree mixed with regular apple. So Malus sylvestris is a Latin name for the crabapple, and any of the Malus species is apple tree right along. And I did my best. This is the when it was done, not the actual process, but of capturing and harnessing the essence of that plant's flower, and specifically. I want to associate it with the lovers here a little bit because it kind of ties into the lore around apples, specifically meaning healing, love, protection, immortality, and wisdom. When you use the Bach flower essences, the apples are about cleansing, cleanliness, and just kind of helping one get over basically a fear of like uncleanliness that kind of maybe organized religion has kind of thrust upon us specifically. So it's great for that. It's great for fixations on wellness and, you know, generally great for accepting yourself kind of as you are, which is ultimately my goal with most of the work that I tend to do. It's from the rose family, which again ties it nicely to the, you know, the lovers card sort of energy as well. And nourishment, apples in general, very nourishing, motivating, sense of purpose kind of card. And for me, a sense of purpose is always associated with Anake, who is represented by a snake around the cosmic egg, and the snake in the Garden of Eden is Anake, who's also Lilith, which ties it all back into that. So there's a parallel there for me personally. Oh, the Hierophant here. This is an elder plant. This is the lemony lace elder tree, and it's elders or teachers, people we learn from, hold that Hierophant energy within them very strongly. So both the lemony lace and the black lace elderberry are a representation of the Hierophant for me as well. But yes, the circling background to the apple, specifically for me, it's a symbol of liberation of the soul. There is a Lucifer and Lilith reference, as I said. Lucifer being the morning star, Lilith being the evening star, and the star is the shape of the 5 petals on the apple tree and the 5 pips or the 5 seeds in the apple when you slice it halfway through. So it is food for the soul, inner wisdom. That's blossoming. It is the base and unclean mixed with the sacred kind of together. And then you get that kind of dual nature, which is very Gemini, which is the association of the Lover's card. So apples, the forbidden fruit itself, unless you think it's a pomegranate, which has Persephone references, but that's a whole nother can of worms. But it's very that. It is that sacred balance between the muck and the beauty and the divinity. Everything is in everything else, right? As above, so below. We all come back to that basic principle, and it's fantastic, and I love it so much. Oh, and another really quick tangent here as we look at all of our beautiful narcissi. Anyway, this is Maya. Maya is it's her birthday. I planted about a year ago. She's a magnolia tree. Her name's Maya. She's named after Hermes' mother. And I planted her right at the end of my Hermes novena last year. She's beautiful. She flowered again. She survived. I'm so happy. I love her so much, and I just want you to appreciate her too. She's stunning. Apparently you can eat the petals too. I haven't tried that yet. But I never tasted them. Maybe one year, not this year. I'm just admiring her at the moment. Beneath the apple tree that I have here, there's an edible apple, I've got a sage plant growing. So sage for me is a very Hierophant energy as well, right? That sacred kind of claiming of a space for sacred purpose. Sage is good for protection and all that jazz. Just clears the air, makes it what it is. So beneath this Lover's represented apple tree, which we talked about already, I've got a sage plant growing, which is a Hierophant, and the card that comes right after the Hierophant is the Lovers, so having these two kind of next to each other is kind of neat and very synchronous. I like it. Oh man, there's also nothing like the smell of freshly crushed sage leaves between your fingers. It smells way better than the dried stuff. These primroses right next to it are also very Hierophant colors. They're kind of more pink in real life, but on camera they look red and yellow, which is, again, very RWS Hierophant, right? Even though red's technically not allowed in the garden. Ooh, and the pear and apple trees have been shedding their petals, and it just reminds me of confetti from a wedding, which is very Lover's card too. The garden hath exploded. It's incredible. It makes me so excited. So I've situated myself in front of Big Daddy Oak Tree, which is not the perfect depiction of the Emperor. Like in all of the best kind of qualities, right? The strength, the consistency, the resilience and duration, and it's just, you know, it's a formative part of the garden, right? Like it's central. I can't move it. It's gonna be there forever. Just kind of lording over the side of the house, which is great. We did just give it a little bit of a haircut because it was getting a bit close to the house on the one side, and it just wasn't as healthy as it could have been. So that being said, emperors can be molded with the right care. Anywho, there's the Emperor's Domain card from the Majestic Earth. Yeah, very, very Aries, right? Same with like the structure of the garden. This whole side of the garden being straight lines, pathways, edges, structure, not really routine, but meticulous, intentional layout and design. That's very Emperor. Very Aries. Like this comes against like the Emperor and the Empress kind of butt heads in the garden a little bit, because there's two different kind of camps when it comes to gardening. There's the, you know, let things like return to nature, let things do best when you leave them alone, right? Plants want to grow naturally wherever they happen to be, right? Nature, Empress. But then the Emperor side of it is we want to control nature, we want to structure it, we want to make it something that we can enjoy the best way we can. We want to take that power back and you know, turn it into something that we want in our minds, as opposed to just like surrendering it to nature. So I think like some people fall into the highly manicured, highly structured, highly controlled garden, which is harder, I will say. And that's where my husband falls. This side of the garden is his, not his garden, I do it, but he has to approve all garden design decisions on this side because there's a very strict structure and idea, and there's a very specific way he wants it to look. And I imagine he gets a wee bit of pleasure in trying to control nature. Whereas the wibbly side of the garden, which I call the cottage garden on the east side, with all of the curvy lines and the womb space and the general chaos and not structured planting, is my side of the garden where I get to kind of run rampant and do what I do. So it's a very, like, there's that dichotomy, right? Which side do you kind of land on with your gardening style? So we have a bit of both. I like to let things go a bit wild, so to speak. I love when things seed themselves where they want to. They always do the best. The plants themselves do the best when that happens. But at the same time, I have to bring in things. There's plants that just don't actually grow here, and I'd still like to enjoy them as well. So there is a certain amount of control that you need to kind of balance between the, you know, wild nature of it all, or else you just have a scrubby mess full of invasive species. So you need that emperor aspect, but you also need to embrace a bit of the empress while in the garden, and it's beautiful. So I like that it is a good balance between Christopher, husband, and I in the way we want the garden to kind of turn out. So I don't know, I think that's really beautiful and really quite nice. The lovers is everywhere. Everywhere I look in the garden is the lovers. This patio set I'm sitting at, it's the lovers. The tulips. Oh, can you see this bird? There you go. Can you see him? Am I in the way? Did I go far enough? No. There is a giant grackle trying to get at the bird seed. There's none in the bird feeder. I should put some in there for him, poor guy. But what was I on about? The lovers. Tulips. Pink tulips everywhere. Everything is beautiful. Everything is harmony. Everything is a coming together. Everything that is alive in the garden is a result of love in a scientific aspect. Whether plants can love each other, I'm not sure. Specifically the little interrelationships between the pollinators and the plants and the gardener and the plants and all that. On another little sneaky note though, for me, the lovers, it's not necessarily about love. Like Two of Cups is love, right? That's the emotion realm. But the minors, if we do remember, the minors are like the day-to-day human experience, right? What are the majors? The majors are the, like, overarching, universal, cosmic, divine experience, right? So the lovers is about love, but it's about, like, cosmic love. It's about universal love. It is about one's relationship with the divine, and specifically devotion. So what do you devote yourself to? What are you committed to? We often talk about the Lover's card as being a commitment, a choice, a decision to do something, commit to it, make the choice to do it, and that's what it is. It is a devotion to something. And then on the universal scale, what is your life's passion? What is your life's work? What is it that stirs your heart to care about things? And what is your relationship with that universe around you? So that's the lovers, and that's why lovers is also everywhere. I love that. So yeah, so beautiful. There's the Grow Yourself Oracle card. I'm not sure I showed that one in the other ones. It's a little quote, how far would you go for love? Yeah, very, very vague in general, but I love how there's the snake at the bottom of that one. I love a snake motif. I will get a tattoo of a snake motif at some point, sometime. It's very high on the to-do list. But yeah, very much so like it's an example of divine love, right? This larger figure in the Lover's card, whether it's the angel in the RWS or I believe it's the Hierophant actually, or not the Hierophant, the Hermit in the Thoth deck is kind of wedding these two earthly souls. It is a cosmic reference, a universal reference, a divine reference. So you have brought yourself before this divine figure and made a choice, made a commitment. Can be like marriage or wedding, but any decision, any choice you make kind of falls under that category. So it's so cool, very beautiful. But yeah, very, very stunning. Oh, and the tree deck. Hold on, where is it? If I lose any cards during this, no, it's over here. Woo! Very scary, very sad. The lovers is myrtle. I don't actually grow any myrtle. I'm not sure it actually can grow here. I need to look into that, but that's the choice for the tree deck. for the Lover's card. I think that's very appropriate too, just mythologically as well. So a great choice. I think you saw most of them. I have so many cards in front of me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this Fool. Again, just that absolute free leap of faith. No, not whimsical, but just like nonchalant, confident, that like naively confident step, which is again mixed with the Lover's card. Every decision I make in the garden kind of has to have the Fool attached to it, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. You're going to plant something somewhere, you're going to stick it in the ground and be like, this will probably work, and you've got to be prepared for it not to work, but if it does work, it's great. But you can't know. You can do your best to follow the rules, read the instructions, be the emperor about it, right? And control the situation and like and do all the things to make it so that it does flourish, but at the same time there is a certain amount of chance and happenstance you can't control, and you just have to accept, and you just have to be okay with the fact that when you do something in the garden, it's gonna go either way, and there's a certain amount of control you do relinquish. So Fool's in there too. Very great. There's the Hierophant card from the Edmund Duloc. Another just great example of a teacher, someone that you look up to, not necessarily tradition and structure and specifically in like an institutional religious context. It can be that. It can be that, but it's also, where do you learn from? Who do you put your trust in to learn from? Who is your earthly path across the abyss? And actually, every card from today, except the Fool, is a path across the abyss. For the wall. The Hierophant is the earthly path. The Lover's is the air path across the abyss on the Tree of Life. And the Emperor is the fire one. Unless you're Aleister Crowley and you put the Emperor at the bottom of the Tree of Life and it's the star, which doesn't make any sense and ruins my little understanding. So that's another reason why I like the Emperor at the top. This is Hebrew letter related and the position of them, but I like it at the top because the Emperor is the fiery path across the Tree of Life abyss section before you get to the supernal triad at the top. So anywho, I wish I put an infographic in or something. Maybe not, I don't know, but you get the idea. There's 3 at the top, the supernal triad, and then to get to them there's like a empty nothingness which we commonly refer to as the abyss. Some people throw an extra Sephiroth in there, Doth, and they consider it the abyss, but I kind of think of it as just this whole thing as opposed to like a concentrated Sephiroth. It's like this vast dark empty nothingness that you have to get through, and these are the ways to do it. So again, more big energy for to start off the series, but mind you, we're talking majors here, so everything's going to be big energy. Everything's going to be important and fundamental, and it can rock your world if you let it. So anywho, I love tarot and this is another fun installment of me chatting about it in the garden, which is also another place that fills my cups to overfloweth. So if you've come along with me, I want to thank you very much. It means a lot to me, and this is the kind of stuff I love to see, I love to make. I just love to be in tarot, I love to be in the garden. I like to put myself in the cards and then see what those look like in my life, and it makes life so much fun. And that's the whole point of being here, is it not? Anywho, on that note, thank you so much for being here, and I will see all you fine people in my next video with Candy. And also don't forget to check out our video. Oh my gosh, I'm sure it'll be fantastic. The weather should improve as well. I'm very excited to see it. So give her some love from me, and I will see all you fine people later. Bye.